So welcome to the Team DataFam Tableau User Group meeting number 9. This Tableau user group's a little bit different. We focus on the presenter rather than the audience. So we're meeting at this time because our presenter, Kevin Wee, is available at this time. All the recordings or all the meetings are recorded and put on YouTube, so you can watch them later at any time. And we've got a big schedule of TC25 presentations coming up, but it doesn't matter if you're presented at TC25 or not. If you've got anything that you want to present, please get in touch. The email's on the screen, but it's team.datafam@gmail.com, and we'll find a time slot for you. As I said, we meet when the presenter is available, not the audience, so our times change all the time. So today we've got Kevin replaying his TC25 presentation called Infographically Speaking, Designing Dashboards for Impact. And we'll go through a whole heap of things about how to design dashboards, best practices, standardize. I assume there's going to be some Figma comments in there as well. And let's see how it goes. So Kevin, over to you.
Sure. Let me share my screen. 1, 2, share the entire screen. That one. Share.
That's it, looks perfect.
Great. So, welcome everyone. This is Kevin. Any Mandarin speaking people here today? My Mandarin name is Huang Cohen. So later, if anyone have any questions you'd like to ask, you can do that in English, Mandarin, Malay, bring it on. I'll try to address them as best as my possible. Today we're going to cover some of the dashboard that I've made that I deem them to be impactful to myself or to the DataFam community. Then I'm going to start to disclose my own creation practice. I'm going to try to summarize my journey with some lessons. And by the end of the conversation, I'm going to share with you some of the resources that have helped me creating my own infographic dashboard. So with that, my name is Kevin, as I said earlier. Let me just tell a little bit more about myself. I've been using Tableau since 2019. While I was a graduate student seeking a non-coding solution for data visualization. I came across Tableau because of a professor. I've been using it ever since. I'm currently a lead BI analyst at Discover, which today just got acquired by Capital One, another credit card company. My main role in the company involves creating creative visual solutions for my business partners so that they may use it to solve their analytics problems. I also is one of the trainers in the company where I teach new analysts how to use Tableau. I am a Tableau visionary and an ambassador. That's just a way to tell people that I spend a lot of time trying to give back to the community of practice, trying to help even those that are not from my company, to be better at data analytics, infographic design, and how to use Tableau. So that's exactly what I'm doing now. Later, you're going to come across a lot of resources from me where most of my presentations are recorded on my own YouTube channel. So feel free to visit them at your own pace. So that's enough about me. Now let's talk about you. By the end of this 1 hour-ish session, you should be able to, number one, identify Tableau products or design tools that you may leverage to create infographic dashboards. You should be able to describe data visualization and graphic design concepts that you may apply to create good design infographic dashboard. And you should be able to obtain open resources for inspirations or your own self-paced learning on the creation practice. So do stay till the very end. Now let's talk about some of the infographic dashboards that I have created and have been impactful. If you go to my Tableau public profile, if anyone can drop a link in the chat, that would be grateful. You would come across about 64 visualizations that I have created. A lot of these visualizations are what I call infographic dashboards. These are the dashboards that are not about business topics. They're not about Superstore data set. They're not about any kind of professional functions. They're more artistic and more interactive, more unconventional. And compared to the business dashboards where the analyst is supposed to check the numbers, check the trend, and immediately move back to the business. These infographic dashboard, when I made them, I wanted users to take time to play with the dashboards. So they look a little bit unique. So let me show some of these examples here. The first one that I'd like to show you, dashboard that I've made to showcase my love for dim sum dishes. Let me refresh it real quick. So we know that this is the AAPI month. So this is a perfect dashboard to demonstrate here. I am half Cantonese from my mother's side. So I love this dish, this kind of Cantonese cuisine. This dashboard, I use lotus shape to represent each of the famous dim sum dishes, and each of the petal actually represent a nutrient type, such as carbohydrates, proteins, fat, cholesterol, and so on. And the darker the color of a petal, the more nutritious a dish has regarding a certain nutrient type. And here you can see that I use the motif of lotus because lotus seed and lotus leaves are actually main ingredients in Chinese dishes, and also just a very Chinese motifs. This visualization is actually featured in this Andy Kirk's data visualization handbook. I actually have the handbook here. Andy gave this to me for free because my visualization is in it, and he used it as a way to demonstrate the practice of small multiple chart type, descriptive title, and custom color palette. Yep. So this is the infographic dashboard example one. It's unique also because when you, let's say, hover the cursor over the xiaolongbao, the soup dumpling, you would see the bar chart representing the data in a more detailed manner. But you can enjoy the artistic part and the detailed part like this. The second dashboard that I like to show today, it's the dashboard about everything, everywhere, all at once. I wonder how many people in today's chat room, how many of you have seen the movie Everything, Everywhere, All at Once? Okay, I have Chris raising his hand. How about people in the chat? Okay, 1, 2, 3. People call it Dato. Yo, Celestina, are you a Malaysian? That would be very impressive. So this is a movie about an immigrant family deal with their own family conflicts as well as tax in the United States, and we know how complicated this whole thing could be. When I watched that movie, I realized that there's so many great cast members and there's so many movies that they have played before Everything Everywhere All at Once. So I try to celebrate the accomplishments of the cast member using this visualization. So on the left side here, each of the tiny circle represent a film played by or directed by one of the cast members. And the bigger the circle, the bigger the circle, the more people voted for that film on IMDb. The brighter the circle, the higher the rating. So the bigger the brighter, the bigger deal that movie was. And the circles arranged on a counterclockwise manner according to the release year. And this visualization is fun in the way that when you hover your cursor over one of the bands on top right, you would highlight the corresponding movie. So these are the 5 movies that were nominated for Best Picture, excluding Everything Everywhere All at Once. These are the 60 films that had a high IMDb ratings. So far, I've never seen people, create this kind of interactivity between bands and the chart in the center. So I thought it was quite creative on my end. So this visualization was just featured in Tableau's AAPI Heritage Month collection. I remember we have multiple creators of this collections in chat room, including Louis and Irish, maybe some more people that I'm not familiar with. And yeah, this is just a way to show that we using Tableau the DataFam community has been telling their own stories using Tableau as an analytics tool as well as a creativity tool. My visualization has also been featured as a promotion material in Data Plus Movies Challenge. If you go to Google and type Data Plus Movies and Tableau, and if you scroll to the bottom a little bit, you will see that my visualization is one of the many that has been selected as a promotion material for the challenge. So it has been used as a way to showcase to Tableau learner on the fact that you can use Tableau not just for business analytics, but also to express creativity. This visualization has also been featured in imdb.com. They're trying to showcase to the movie connoisseur that, in fact, people have been gathering data about different movies, and then these nerds, they just love using data to express their love to the movies they've been watching. So that is my visualization. That is actually one of the few commonality I have had with Michelle Yeoh. We both own one IMDb URL link. So shout out to her. Yeah, we both are these Malaysians that own a URL link in IMDb. So now let's go back. In fact, to date, if you go to tableaupublic.com, I have several visualizations that were featured under different topics. And then these are just examples that Tableau curated to show learners what can the tool do, what can the tool does when it's handled with creativity and mastery of the skill set. So I'm fortunate that a couple of my visualizations have been impactful to the community. So today I'd like to show you how I have been doing them. Now let's talk about my creation process. Let me go full screen. So in general, my creation process for an infographic dashboard involves 3 phases. These are exploration phase, the crafting phase, and release phase. And the next couple of minutes, we're going to go through them one by one. First of all, the exploration phase. I'm going to talk about how I find the data set, how I prep them, how I create visual representations of set, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about how I ideate, how I creatively come up with the idea for the dashboard. In terms of finding data sets, there are 3 ways that I've been doing. Number 1 is to participate in community projects such as Makeover Monday, Workout Wednesday, Back to Viz Basics, Viz for Social Good, or the Game Viz Night. These are the community projects where they're mainly hosted by community leaders. And they would, in a set cadence, provide the data set openly in the public, where people could download the data set in CVS file, usually come with a short prompt telling you what they're looking for in the visualization. So you'll get the cleanest data sets for you to explore the possibility offered by the data, and then express your own creativity by creating your own dashboard. The second way that you may find a data set is via a trustworthy data source, a data website with a PDF file or the spreadsheet. Using the example of the Dim Sum Viz, using the Dim Sum Viz as an example, I went to the Hong Kong Center for Food Safety website, and I downloaded the long PDF file for the dim sum dish nutrition information. And I just converted the PDF file into a CSV file, and then I analyzed the data and then came out with the visualization. So if you know there's a website that the data set from it is deemed accurate for a certain topic, you may use this approach. The third way of finding a data set is, to me, the most challenging. That is, if you know that the data set, if you know that the website has a database behind it, but there's no table for you to download, then you may use Python coding to web scrape the data set using any kind of generative AI for your help. So I actually have a visualization that I published recently where I use Spotify database, and I use web scraping to extract all of the data podcasts that I've been listening, and then I created a visualization for it. So that is fun if that's something that you love to do. I personally do not enjoy coding. I could do it, I can read it, just know enough to be dangerous, but I couldn't code spontaneously. Still something that I'm trying to learn. So these are the different ways for you to find a data set. Now let's talk about prepping the data. To clean and filter the data sets before visualization, I use two software mainly, Tableau Desktop or Tableau Prep. Let's compare them. Tableau Desktop's basically to do prepping phase in Tableau Desktop. The good side is that you can prep the data set and create a visualization all within the same environment. So you don't have to hop between two different softwares to clean things and then load it into the visualization tool and then go back and clean again and then come back. So it's convenient in that way. However, there are several downsides to it. Number one, within Tableau Desktop, my understanding is that you can only pivot the data table once. So if your data set needs a lot of deep massaging, a lot of combinations, it could be a little bit chaotic in Tableau Desktop. And the second thing is if the cleaning step is intensive and it involves multiple steps just to get one calculation done, it's easy for you to lose track on which step you're at, especially when you have to go back and then trying to tweak some of the upstream calculations because it lacks a procedure indicator. That's actually a strength for Tableau Prep. You see that Tableau Prep on the top part, it has a giant flow diagram showing you the big proportions of cleaning steps that you have done on a certain data set. And on the bottom left, it has a detailed flow chart showing you step by step what have you done in terms of filtering, new calculations, renaming. So it's very easy for you to keep track on the things that you did and for you to tweak and revise some of the steps if needed. It also has another strength that is for all of the metrics and dimensions. It has histograms and bar charts showing you the abundance of these data sets, giving you some giving you some initial ideas on the distributions of these metrics or dimensions. So kind of you already start to analyze data while you're cleaning them. Also, if you look at the flow chart on the top again, you can see that you can pivot and create combinations and unionizing of tables multiple times using Tableau Prep. So if you have to combine multiple tables, multiple reference sources in one, Tableau Prep would be a very good and convenient tool for you to use. Of course, the downside is that while you're doing all the prepping in this software, it's separated from the visualization environment. So later you need to load, export the data set, let's say in CSV file or a data source file, then you need to load it back to Tableau Desktop for the visualization. So you have to use two software for one project. So this may not be exactly friendly for those that are more financial conscious, but it's an option. Now let's talk about the next step, that is visual analytics. For this step, I do that in Tableau Desktop. A lot of people thought that visual analytics is just creating a bunch of charts and then just put it together in a dashboard salad. But actually, the process is a little bit more complicated than that. You see, it's actually it usually involves 4 steps. You need to start by forming a questions. And then within Tableau Desktop, you need to drag and drop the green and blue pills to form the graph for the data set that you visualized. And then you're trying to gain some insights from the patterns of the visualization that you create. This all sounds a little bit abstract, but let me use the visualizations of everything everywhere all at once as an example from this step moving forward. I started by asking myself, how many movies were involved by the Everything Everywhere All at Once cast members all these years? And then I drag the pills into the interface to create a line chart. And then from the line chart, I noticed that actually many movies were released in the mid 80s to early 90s. And then the number bounced back again in late 2000s. And I just kept on asking a new question, came up with a new chart, and then a new insights over and over again until I've exhausted everything that I could find interestingly about the data set. So it's actually a cyclical process. So yeah, visual analytics is actually more complicated than just create a bunch of charts. You need to come up with the questions, come up with a chart, and then answer the question with the chart type. So after this phase, I would enter the ideation phase. Ideation phase is for me to figure out what do I need to put together in the dashboard visually. So this is a step that's very intimidated. This is the step that a lot of data analysts find intimidating because after all, a lot of us do not have a professional training in graphic design or fine art. And fun fact, I have a PhD in chemistry. I do not have anything of any sort in fine art or graphic design. So how have I been doing it? Let me show you some tips. First of all, I will find inspirations from relevant imageries. If the topic that you're trying to represent is about a movie, then you shall seek the movie posters or some iconic scenes in a movie. And then if you started to notice some of the geometric shape that you deem interesting, then maybe you could also go find some data visualization with a similar shape. That the topic could be irrelevant, but maybe the shape could be somewhat similar. And after you found all of this starting material, you're trying to recreate a text or geometric shape that match the vibe. So what does it mean by match the vibe? Let me, elaborate on this. For example, in a movie on the left, we could see that the title font is very bold, very big, very long, and they're always, center, left and right justified. So maybe I could create the title case that just look like that, right? Very long, very bold, left and right justified. And of course, I noticed a lot of bagels. And for those that have not watched the movie, these are not donuts. These are bagels. So I saw bagel. I drew bagel. That's it. And of course, by the way, I use Figma as a tool to create all of these visual elements. Basically, any tool that could generate a PNG file, you could use it. Use whatever that float your boat. It's fine. So here, I drew a bagel. And I realized that this bagel is not just a bagel for food. It's a bagel that represents black hole, a sense of falling apart. A lot of the sesame seeds start to flow out of the bagel. So maybe I can draw something that look like this, with more lines coming out of the bagel, with more dots coming out of the bagel. And then I start to realize that, oh, what if each of these sesame seeds represent a film? And then the bagel could be my coordinates. So let's do this. So that is how I came up with the ideas of this chart type. This is my ideation phase for this specific project. So now I have insights about the data set. I have some idea about what I'm going to do with the dashboard. So now I need to start to put things together. Now let's enter the crafting phase. The crafting phase is essentially for me to create the dashboard, but I'm not going to do everything everywhere all at once. I'm going to do this like how Taiwanese build microchip. We're going to start by building the motherboard, which is a static board at the very bottom layer. And then on top of them, we're going to build some some transistors, some microchips, something square to put on it. These are the data visualization. And on top of this, I'm going to wire these microchips to one another with some interaction set up. So I'm going to build this dashboard literally layer by layer. Let's go through these steps one by one again. First of all, background design. Again, I'm doing this step in Figma. Basically, what I do is that within a canvas or a rectangle, I try to arrange these visual elements meaningfully. And these visual elements includes the title, the body tags, the credit tags, or the custom legends. A lot of things going on, right? So using the visualization as an example, basically I just in the canvas, I just keep organizing things in different ways and then keep trying different colors until something that stuck with me. And this step's a little bit overwhelming, right? Like so many elements floating all over. How did I manage to create this? Let me break it down for you a little bit. Number one, for the canvas, I try my best to keep it within the aspect ratio of a golden ratio. Why golden ratio? Because once you publish these visualizations on Tableau Public, the thumbnail that you see is actually in the aspect ratio of a golden ratio. So if you can keep everything within golden ratio, everything will show in the thumbnail. Number two, I'm trying to group the informations, the similar informations with one another. So you can see that all of the credit text, they're all at bottom right of the color of the legends go together. The body text is in one chunk, and then the coordinates all on the left side. And they're aligned with each other. Not just that, they're also aligned with a hidden grid that I use. So for a visualization project, I often use a 12 rows times 12 columns modular grid. For those who are not familiar with the term, modular grid is just a grid with rows and columns, and then with gaps between the rows and columns, and then a margin surrounding both elements. And you'll ask, why 12? It's because 12 is divisible by 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. So if you want to create a multi-column layout, this is perfect. It should be able to tackle most of your projects. You can use, if you go to some, UX UI's course, you will realize that they often say 12 times 8, 12 times 8 column or 12 times 8 grid. You can explore that as well, but usually that's more fitting to something more narrow, like a phone. Now, this is how I come up with my background image. After that, I'll just export that image from Figma in a PNG format, and I'll load it into Tableau desktop within the same dimension, like whatever dimensions of the Figma file that I have. In that Tableau dashboard, I created the new dashboard with the same dimension, and I'll load the image file as the most bottom layer. And after that, I'll try to fit the image at the center, and I'll try to get rid of all of the outer and inner padding of that image. So everything should fit like fingers in the gloves. Now it's time to create the data visualization part. And for the data visualization part, I mean the charts, the filters, the parameter switches. Today, we're not going to talk about how to create this specific chart type because it's not the point of the presentation, but there are two tips that I like to give it to you. Number one, you should be creative when you're trying to leverage the columns, the rows, and the color marks and so on. We're not in the territory of a business dashboard, so things don't always have to be ultra precise. You can try to express your own characteristics and artistry a little bit. So trying to be creative when you're trying to use the visual marks. And number two is a lot of people trying to cram everything in the most outer layer of the dashboard. So their infographic dashboard looks very overwhelming. You don't have to put everything everywhere all at once at the surface. You can put some of this more complicated information or tables or chart types in the tooltips, so that if someone would like to interact with your dashboard, trying to play with it, they'll get more information out of it. So kind of create a rewarding system for those that's engaging. So after you're done creating all of your charts, you need to remove all of those unneeded axes, colors, lines, especially the background color, because you need to load it right above the background image like this. As you can tell, I'm in team floating because you have the background image. There's no other choice for you other than to float your data visualization components. And when you float your charts and filters and parameter switches, you should always align them with the existing elements on the background image. For example, I'm trying to align my sesame seeds with the built-in bagel coordinate. I try to align the bands on top right so that it's aligned to the left of all of the other elements. So that's it. So now we have the chart and the table in the tooltip. But don't forget that earlier when I demonstrated the visualization, you could actually interact with it, right? When you hover over the bands on top right, it did something to the chart, right? So now we need to wire that interactivity. Let's enter the interaction phase. In this phase, what I did was I went to the dashboard view, I went to the menu, click dashboard and the action. And then within the action window, you could turn any charts into a highlighter, a filter, or a parameter switch. That's what I did. I turned my bands into highlighter for the chart. Here's how I did it. By selecting, by hovering over any of the bands, it would did something to the bagel chart. And then it would, in this case, it would highlight any movie that with IMDb larger or equals to 7. That's a typo there. So that's it. That's how I created the interactivity within the visualization. But if you think about it, this is not the end of the story, isn't it? The title of the presentation is Designing Dashboards for Impact. So if you created a dashboard, put it in your laptop, no one have seen it. Is it truly impactful? It's hard to be impactful. So you need to release it to the world, to share with the people that enjoy the visualization as well as the topic. So now let's enter the release phase. First of all, I publish all of my visualizations on Tableau Public. And when I do so, I would always click the pen icon on the bottom left next to details to tweak 3 things. Number 1, I'll tweak the title so that I could fit the title characters within 2 lines. Because if you write anything more than 2 lines, it won't show in your Tableau Public landing page. So it would render the title ineffective, especially for something that you like to showcase as an infographic dashboard. Second thing, I'll try to leverage hashtags in the description so that people could search for your visualization easier with any search engine of their choice. Thirdly, if the visualization has been inspired by other Tableau Public visualization, I'll pick the one that's the most influential and place the URL of that visualization in the inspiration session so that I can pay tribute to the person that came before me. This is also the best way for you to network with other creators because you're like, hey, I love your work. I use it for my project. Hello. So people love it when you try to reach out to them, pay them tribute. I definitely love it when people did that with me as well. So that's how you publish it on Tableau Public. But how about that are using Power BI, D3, right? Or raw graph or data wrapper? We need to show them our creations as well, right? Trying to make a larger network with the data visualization community. So for that, I always create multiple social media posts, both in English and Mandarin, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Blue Sky, and Slack, just to show everybody this is the thing that I've just created, and I like to celebrate data visualizations with everybody. I always post the shortened URL and I put it in the first paragraph for my post. And I always provide a screenshot of my visualization or a short video if the visualization has some cool interactivity. And I always leverage hashtags and alliance that are relevant to promote the visualizations to the people that have been following these keywords. And also in the second last paragraph, I always pay tribute to the people that have helped me in the creation process, or pay tribute again to the people that has inspired my work, especially those that are not using Tableau Public. And when people responded to my visualization, I always try my best to respond back to them as quickly as possible, just to keep the engagement going, to reach out to a larger audience. So that's it. That is how I created infographic dashboards for impacts. And here are some of the lessons that I've learned. How much time did I have before I move on?
You have as much time as you need, really.
Okay,
We don't
sure.
have a time limit.
Okay, let's do this. So first lesson, visualization is beyond chart choosing. If you go to my Tableau public profile, you realize that I barely use, the bar chart, line chart, conventionally. Even if I use things like, bands, I try to, put my own spices on them. In the context of creating infographic dashboard, it's an opportunity for us to encode information creatively. Today, I've showcased how I used rotation angle to represent release year, pedal to represent different nutrient types, or in other cases, I use circle to represent parameter selections on a certain university. So when you create your own infographic dashboard, you could always think about this. Other than the most obvious solutions, how could I push my own creativity to create something that's uniquely me? So that's definitely something that you could try. Secondly, design is beyond aesthetics. As I said earlier, I do not have any formal training in arts or design. Although, fun fact, my mother is actually a crochet YouTuber, but we can talk about that later. But my point is, when I create my own visualization, I always ask myself, what do I want users to experience when they interact with my dashboard? And how could I make it happen? Let me break this down for you. No one else but me, what do I want users to see, to read, and to feel when they came across the thumbnail, when they look at my charts, when they hover over or click on anything on my dashboard? And how do I accomplish them visually? Let me use some of these examples, some of the following examples. Number one, when I wanted users to be curious when they first saw the thumbnail of my visualization, I would use very big, bold shape and then bright and saturated colors as visual anchor so that people, when they came across something like that, they would spend more time looking at it. When I wanted users to be less overwhelmed by the exploding bagel, I provided sufficient negative space surrounding it to reduce the cognitive load. When I wanted users to understand the very complicated new chart type more easily, I use visual custom legends instead of exogenous text or paragraphs for it. When I wanted users to grasp the key information quicker, I leverage font size and boldness to convey information hierarchy. So here you can see that the fonts that are bigger, bolder, they're often more important. And the fonts that are slimmer, smaller, they're less irrelevant to the visualization. So the third lesson, inspirations come from everywhere. Earlier with the visualizations of everything everywhere all at once, I have demonstrated how I gain inspirations from movie posters, movie scenes, and other scientific visualization. Here are some more examples that I like to show. Oops, click here. For the dim sum vis, I actually gain the inspiration from all the dim sums. If you go to Google and type dim sum, you'll be very hungry, and it's not good for me because it's 10 o'clock here. But you will see that they always come in their own container, right? So each of them is their own container. We don't mix them. And also we know that I as a Chinese, I know that a lot of them has a lotus leaves and lotus seed as ingredients. So I went on and looked at lotus. So that, okay, this is an interesting shape, hard to reproduce, but interesting shape. And then I went online and I came across this visualization from Federica Fragapane. I'm pretty sure that I butchered her last name, but my point is she has a visualization that has nothing to do with dim sum, but she used this very inverted lotus shape to represent carbon dioxide release, I believe, over the year for each of the countries. So I was just like, you know what? I could steal this, but do it in a smart way. So that's how I came across my visualization. I just flipped the Lotus back. And here's another example here. Hey, I'm trying to put it here. This is a visualization that I didn't spend much time explaining earlier, but given that we have a little bit more time, I'm going to go for it. This visualization showing us all of the higher ed institutions in the United States that offer a data analytics program. Each of the black dot represent a program. And when you click on any of the school, let's find Purdue University, which is my university. You can see that by following the yellow nugget, it would show you all the information about that school. It has high student population, high undergraduate percentage, very cheap, not very high graduation rate for the data analytics program. Oops. Or how about a school in Mount St. Mary University? Yep, now you can read its own information. So this design is actually inspired, first of all, the color palette is inspired by the South China Morning Post visualizations about how coronavirus changed the city. You can see that the color palette is I just extract the color palette straight out of this visualization. But in terms of the design of the chart choice, I leverage my own visualization from a prior project. This is actually my very second Figma visualization, where the bar represent the distributions of a metric, and then a specific triangle represent a certain referee. So when you change a referee, you change the, oops, let's do it again. Let me just refresh. When you change the referee, you change the triangle. Yep. So I got the idea from there, as well as another visualization from the Mola Ladipo. Oh, I'm sorry, everything's breaking because I opened them for too long. You can see that the map with an annotation line, I got the idea from him, and I got the glowing circle effect idea from Dennis' visualization. So a lot of my visualization is just, a remix of everybody's project, and I claim it on my own. Yeah, don't tell them that. I love them. Okay, so my point is, inspiration comes from everywhere. It can come from real life objects, other Tableau public visualizations, digital signage, data journalisms, engineering drawing, or even illustration. So if you pay attention to everything that you perceive in your life, you realize that everything is telling you something, either information-wise or emotionally. So if you pay attention to how they impacted your perception, when you create your own visualization, you may reverse engineer the process. So now you get to craft your visualization so that people could feel or perceive things in a certain way. It's very control freak of me to figure this out. The fourth lesson is that growth happens one step at a time. A lot of my Tableau public visualization, if you scroll to the very bottom, you'll notice that these are my first 4 Tableau public visualization, which I created about a year after learning the tool. You can see that I was still trying to figure out where the buttons were in the software. So the color choice, the chart choice, they're very conservative, and there's just no white space in my visualization. Everything's very close to each other. So, but after creating the visualization over and over again, participating in Makeover Monday, Back to Basic, and so on, I started to learn more about graphic design. I started to learn more about negative space, learn more about, sci-fi user interface, dark mode user interface. My visualization became more and more sophisticated. And now when you look at the latest creations, I would say hyper colorful, but they're very colorful and they're very purple, because that's how I realized, oh, actually I love the color purple a lot. My visualizations always have some very unique interactivity in it. I start to find my own style. So all of this growth happened because I pushed the envelope. I pushed my own limit repeatedly, trying to come up with something interesting. In fact, I always ask myself, what's new this time? when I created my own visualization. Just use some of the latest example here. This visualization about podcasts, it's my very first project where I did web scraping with ChatGPT. My dim sum viz was actually my very first curved polygons with Chinese characters in it. And everything everywhere all at once, that was actually my very first polar coordinates. Before that, I never used sine and cosine for any of my Tableau public visualization. So I always try to come up with something new. Remember, I talked about the open resource that I'm going to share with everybody by the end of the presentation. So you don't have to take your phone out to scan for this, but please just go to kevinwee.com. Go to kevinwee.com and go to the latest blog. You will be able to access to everything that I've said today. And I meant everything, including different Tableau products, including the books and more books about data visualization, more websites, more YouTube channel about graphic design and infographic creations, as well as the video recording of the YouTube recording of the Tableau conference presentation. Everything's on it, and it should help you get started with your own creations of infographic dashboards. Remember at the beginning, we had 3 learning objectives. I know that we're all very lazy, we're all adults, so why don't we do this together? Let's wrap things up together. Number 1, we have covered Tableau Prep, Tableau Desktop, and Tableau Public. These are the Tableau tools that I've used. I also leverage a lot of data resources from community challenges. And in terms of data tools, turn out using Figma alone could get you quite far. Other than Figma, the other tool that I used was just Adobe Color, which I didn't cover today. But if you go to my website, you would find out how to use Tableau Color to create your own color palette. I described several data visualization concepts, such as the cyclical nature of visual analytics, the creative use of visual encodings, how to use dashboard actions to create interactivity between charts, how to leverage custom legends to explain a non-conventional chart type. We also cover a lot of graphic design concepts, such as my own ideation phase, my own take in creating a certain user experience, or UX for short. We also cover things like golden ratio, modular grids, visual anchor, negative space, and typography, the font size and boldness. In terms of open resource, if today the only thing that you need to remember is go to kevinwee.com. Go to kevinwee.com. You will find all the resources that I post for today's presentation, as well as every presentations I've done in the past. All the resources always in kevinwee.com. And just to be very fitting to this Tableau user group, DataFam, it's a free and unlimitedly creative and kind community for everybody to leverage. You don't need to seek help from me. You can seek help from everybody that's in today's presentations, or anyone that's paying attention to the DataFam hashtag on any social media, because people just love data visualization with Tableau so much that we're always eager to discuss or help you if needed. So that's my presentation, and you can find me and my name in all of this social media, and I am open for questions. Let me, do you want me to keep sharing my screen or stop sharing my screen?
It's up to you. The only question we've got so far is Lindsay saying, so you say you're not a graphics designer, but I'm not sure I agree. You have to have a good grasp of graphics design to make some of these visits. Some of your info has been helpful. Thank you. Sorry, I thought it was going to lead into a question. It didn't, but I agree.
Well, thank you too. I think being a chemist made me realize that I always use charts and graphs. I just never proactively think about how they were created. But once I flipped that mindset, it became easy for me to, got into data visualization. I think, yeah, my experience might help. But thank you, Lindsay. Any other questions? I can, stop sharing. So I can move your face to the front. I have 3 monitors, so I always look to the side.
What do you mean, only 3 monitors?
Okay, let me scroll to the top just to make sure that no one has any other questions.
There was nothing in there that I saw. We were all chatting about, you're talking about food at this time of night or at this time of the day or wherever. Everyone's hungry and you're talking about food all the time. Makes it very hard.
Okay. So I think I'm seeing a new question. How often do you manage to use such fancy designs to present to management? So fun fact, these are very different than the visualization I create for work. If you go to my Tableau public profile and if you go to see some of my more typical dashboards, they look more like them. At work, I don't show them anything, in the polar coordinates. I don't show them anything that's in purple. We have our own corporate color palette. However, where I use my creativity and problem-solving mindset, it's when I'm trying to tweak the conventional chart types that fit their in need. For example, a bar chart's not gonna always meet what they want to compare. I need to provide one more stroke to showcase the goals or last year's value or the plan value. And then I use color to tell them things are going in the right way or not the right way. So I use my creativity differently, but I use less infographic concepts in it. But a lot of the tiny interactivity parts definitely still help. I also see another question from Emmanuel. How do you manage the learning something new versus delivering the result? When do you have to deliver, but when do you test something new? At work, everything's working in a 2-week cadence. So you have to deliver the result, at least the first draft of it. So that is a hard deadline that we have to hit. But in my free time for my free projects, other than the challenges that have a deadline, for example, Makeover Monday, you always have to submit a visualization on Monday, right? So that would be the deadline. You have your learning phase on Sunday night. But as I grew older and older, I started to care. I wouldn't say care less, but I started to participate less in the hardcore deadline challenge, other than the Iron Fist qualifier, and I just take as long as I need. The dim sum list took more than 3 months. So I just spent 3 months trying to problem solve it. So I just try to enjoy the process. So let's see the question. Hi, Kevin. What is the use case of these infographic dashboards? They don't have a certain use case. Like there's, other than number one, just for you to express your creativity. But number two, I'd like to say they're very one of the significant benefits of creating this infographic dashboard is so that I can come up with something that I could use at work. For example, the dim sum this, right? I figured out a way to hide bar charts in the tooltip. And then the bar chart also provide additional information on top and at the bottom. So that concept, I use it in my business dashboard where the chart type, I provide additional informations in the tooltip, not immediately at the presented dashboard. So that's the, I'll say, use case, but there's essentially no one's asking for any of these visualizations to be created. I made them because I enjoy them. Other question.
Iris wants a session on Figma.
I'm sorry?
Iris was saying she wants a session on Figma.
Oh, she wants a session in Figma. Well,
I think you've had a presentation before on how you actually, in depth, how do you use Figma to come up with the dashboard background?
I actually had like 1, 2, 3. I had 3 sessions in English, 1 session in Mandarin on Figma. But Irish, go to Kevin. You know what? I'm going to put a link in the chat. Like if you go to my YouTube channel, you would find those Figma presentation. But yes, but the thing is, Figma has changed so much since I last presented. So yeah, maybe I could come back again. But I feel like, if we were to do a Figma session, it has to be a workshop. People has to follow it one step at a time. So if that's something that you are willing to entertain, we can talk about it in the future, where we can have a workshop instead of just a presentation.
We can do anything like that. It's easy.
Yeah.
Come up with the idea.
Or Irish, or Iris, just call me, and then a very expensive Starbucks gift card. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. By law, an H-1B worker shall not receive any income. So
there's always ads in the
okay.
YouTube channel or something like that. We can all go something. Definitely.
How do I measure the impacts of my dashboard? Well, Tableau Public has a lot of good metrics to manage engagement, to measure engagement, such as the view count, the like count, and just also who else is shouting out to you, right? When a data visualization handbook put your visualization on it, the metric, the book count is 1, but it's a giant book count. So that is something that I deem significant. Or Tableau start to use my visualization to showcase AAPI month or put it on the Tableau conference gallery. That would be an accomplishment that is deemed appropriate to celebrate. So that's how I assess or evaluate my visualization. I wouldn't use the word measure because not every numbers matter, but yeah. I hope that answered your question, Celestina.
Awesome. That's pretty good. But there might be more in the chat. We'll move on. There's always time after the official agenda as well. So the next part is Fast 5. So quick questions, hopefully quick answers. You haven't seen the questions, obviously, so it's just the quickest answer that comes to mind. Okay, first one. If Tableau could automatically do one thing for you, what would you do?
Show the data source more easily on Tableau server. It's a pain to have to tackle that. Yeah, I'm putting on my work, my analyst mode. This is not Kevin the designer. This is Kevin the analyst.
Awesome.
Yep,
that's good. Do you have a favorite Tableau public dashboard that inspires you?
Anything that Chimdi does.
Okay, that's good.
Just go look for Chimdi Wosu's Tableau public profile. Everything that whole profile, it's inspirational for me. I would never be able to do what he does, but it's always good to learn here and there from him. So yes, everybody go check him out.
Perfect. We'll put a link in there as well. Do you prefer to use filters with the apply now button or apply button, or auto apply instantly?
Always the former. Always the former. I find it less problematic, and also when you have to do multi-selection, spend less time in rendering, especially in the server. It's crucial.
Yep, definitely. And what's your top Tableau red flag when reviewing someone else's dashboard?
I don't understand what you mean by Tableau red flag. Like red flag from Tableau, or?
So when when you see that there's a problem with what they've done in Tableau. As in, red flag is there's problems with that dashboard for some reason.
I see. I see.
Might be a tricky question. I'll blame ChatGPT.
I think it is. Okay. Plagiarism. I literally have someone send me a dashboard, ask me to give them some comment, and then I knew that dashboard because my friend created a dashboard, and I was very offended by it. So. Yeah, don't plagiarize other people's work, change the color, and claim it your own.
Yes, exactly. Good, thank you. Yep. And last one, do you feel more like an artist or an analyst when using Tableau?
I feel more like a hungry artist because I need to feed myself, so I don't need to. Well, I feel more like an artist, but if I do my job well, the analyst would be able to use my dashboard well and come up with their own conclusion for their product. How about that?
And Celestina's answer was an artistic analyst, but yes.
Artistic, yeah. Artistic analyst. I like that. I like that.
Awesome. That was 5. Thank you. Thanks for that, Kevin. That was great.
Oh.
So, yeah. So next is Will and Kyle with their VizQL and Chill, which is another TC25 replay as well. Again, one meeting, but those all the times around the world. It depends on where you are. Actually, it's not May 30 and May 19. That's a typo. It's May 30 and May 29 if you're in the US, obviously. Again, at a time when Will and Kyle are available. So This recording and a whole heap of other TUG recordings are available on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/teamdatafam. Yesterday, we clocked up just over 3,000 hours of watch time of all the recordings that are on that channel, so that was pretty good. So this recording will be up there very soon. There's also a Spotify podcast, there's an Apple podcast. Again, if you need any information or if you want to present on here, email team.datafam@gmail.com and we'll arrange something. So I think Iris is going to email me to arrange a Figma workshop that we all learn interactively how to use Figma with Kevin. So, okay, let's see what that time slot fits into as well. But again, Kevin, thank you for that awesome amount of knowledge and effort and just information to everyone here. And obviously the recording will be online soon. So thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me. And thank you all for spending your evening or your morning or lunchtime with us.